Again, though, the comparison game is dangerous. Hi there, Coach Canaday here with a add-on to my running form, my last running form video. Some of you called me out. You called me out with a comment. Great comments. Really appreciate the support. Everyone's form's a bit different. You called me out for not having enough forward lean. I did mention that this part in the video, I'll cue it up here. You could hear me say pelvic tilt, anterior pelvic tilt is relative to the forward lean. Relative to the front end. And of course you're going to get this with a bit of a forward lean. A lot of really fast runners have. I'll admit I didn't have enough forward lean, and that's what I've been thinking about lately, is you want that forward lean to happen from your ankles. And again, Coach Sandy and I have done a lot of training form video talks on this about the forward lean, especially in Sandy's video on her channel, Running Wild. We talk about kind of just leaning forward, getting onto that balls of your feet, because the forward lean happens at the ankles, and you don't need to be really leaning forward, but I needed to be leaning forward. That's a problem in my running form. It's just too upright, especially with trying to keep the pelvis tucked under, the posterior pelvic tilt. Because what you don't want is bending forward at the waist. People think, oh, I gotta lean forward. What happens? They bend forward at the waist. Well, you stick your butt out, you put yourself into an anterior pelvic tilt with the pelvis. The forward lean comes from the ankles. It comes from the ankles, and so your feet are already driving back. And with that pelvic tilt, and we'll cue up the running form video, me running at 440 mile pace, 254 per kilometer pace, you could see if we just shift the whole body forward with a forward lean, automatically that's going to be better mechanics for the back kick, for the femur coming back. We talk about that hip extension. Alright, so I want to examine these a little bit more closely since you guys brought this to my attention and working on that forward lean. So I drew some best fit lines, and this is rough. I had to import a JPEG protractor to get these angles. There's one here and there's one down here. I'm not sure if you see, but I drew these black lines. This is a right angle. The level of the running surface, I tried to parallel that white line, but this is the flat line surface, got 90-degree angle. I calculated very roughly, again this was eyeballed, but with the protractor, I had a forward lean of about 9 degrees. 81 degrees is this best fit line, this yellow line. So it's a little bit of a forward lean. I think it would be better, and we'll compare it to Kipchoge when he was running slightly faster than this when he went 159 in the marathon challenge. Now we also see in here best fit line. I extrapolated also down my femur from approximately the hip joint. Again, these are approximate numbers, so we could be off by some degrees, but about a 12 degree of hip flexion, which is not as bad as I originally thought. The difference too is maybe that leg could have been straighter, because you see that there's a bit of a knee bend, and the ankle extension is also not great. So 12 degrees on there for the hip extension. Just for kicks and giggles, I also drew this little box to right angle, to show a right angle between my forward lean with the rest of my short line here, which I drew this blue line. Now you can see there's a difference there, and I alluded to anterior pelvic tilt. Not extremely excessive, but I still think there is too much anterior pelvic tilt, and I felt tightness in my hip flexors, I felt tightness in my psoas, and I feel like it is limiting my mobility a bit, as well as the tightness in the quad, rectus femoris, but it's not as bad as I thought. So if we shift the whole body, if we lean that whole body forward more from the ankle, all these things are going to rotate back. The foot strike is going to be more under the center of mass, the leg could kick back, it's going to look like it's going to be kicking up higher, even without more hip extension. So that's slight forward lean, which you guys bothered me about. I agree, it's a problem. I got to focus on that more in these angles. We'll compare it to Kipchoge's now real quick. We'll compare it to Kipchoge. So that's really the add-on. I wanted to say that. Thanks so much for subscribing on here. Be sure to check out Sandy's channel, Running Wild to Believe. Running Wild is the title. We have more running form videos on there. I'll link to it there. Check out our coaching website, sagerunning.com. We sell training plans for any service, any distance. Thanks to the Patreon supporters for making this possible. Title sponsor, Hoka One One, keeping the dream alive. Stay tuned for more.